Welcome back, everybody, to our podcast that still doesn't have a name. I'm Lilith,
And I am Kyle.
and welcome back to our podcast. Welcome to Get to Know Me Cast. It's been a minute.
It's been a while.
It's been a while since we've recorded and posted. We've both been incredibly busy. Both me and Kyle have been incredibly busy. I've been in the process of getting a job. Yay, interviewing. I've been interviewing. I've been I got my driver's permit. Stuff's moving. What about you?
Well, I am similar to you. I am needing a new job, and I got my driver's license recently, which is fun. I've been driving around town hunting for Star Wars action figures at 7 different Targets. The fun usual.
Yeah, so I know I posted this on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, it's at your friend Lil. That we are both getting busy with life stuff and our lives are kind of shifting. And so we'll be able to post when we post, but it won't be weekly. But we are trying to get this third podcast out and moving, but the fourth one probably won't be until we're available.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye out. If you want to keep watching us and keep in contact with us, follow me on Instagram at your friend Lil. Follow Kyle on Instagram at Kyle Supremo and follow me on TikTok also at your friend Lil.
Yes.
We are going to be posting on Instagram around next weekend. We are seeing each other in person,
Hell yeah.
which we are both super duper excited about. With COVID, it's been hard to be able to see each other and be safe. We both have people that we're trying to keep safe, and we're obviously trying to be safe during this pandemic, so we haven't really been able to see each other in person too frequently. But excitingly, we will be seeing each other this upcoming weekend. It's March, so the next month, not March, it's May. After May, after May, it's January, February, March, April,
June.
May, June. I'm
Oh my.
having a brain fart.
Uh-oh.
I'm having a brain fart. We're seeing each other June 5th. We're
Hell
very
yeah.
excited. So, keep an eye out for that. We will be taking pictures, posting it, Instagram stories, TikToks, all that fun stuff. But let's get into Get to Know Me Cast. Me and Kyle have come up with a couple questions just to kind of get to know each other. Since this is like our third podcast, you do kind of want to get to know your hosts. You do kind of want to get to know a little bit about us. So we have all come up with some questions to ask each other and talk about to kind of get to know us and who we are and that type of fun stuff. So we're gonna go back and forth asking questions. Kyle is going first.
I
So
am going first. Now, this is my first question. Whose brain could you pick, or would you pick, I should say, living or dead, to just talk and find out their knowledge?
So for those of you who don't know me super well, I am Italian and Maltese. I'm more Italian than I am Maltese, but my soul is very Maltese. And if you don't know where Malta is, it's a very, very tiny country. It's 3 islands underneath the country of Sicily. And why are you making that face?
Am I making a face?
Yeah, were
Oh,
you?
my
I
bad.
thought you were judging me.
I'm
Okay,
not
no.
judging you. No.
Okay, okay, okay. So it's under Sicily, and it's just a very small country. It's just 3 little islands put together, and that's where my family's from. My great grandmother immigrated from Malta over here. She died when I was around 7. But I'd love to be able to ask her. I There's a lot I want to ask her. I'd love to be able to ask her what it was like immigrating here from Malta. She came on a boat with just my grandpa. Not my great grandpa. My great grandpa stayed in Malta for a while. My great grandma came on a boat with my current grandpa. Um, and came to America, and especially in the wake of all the stuff that's been happening in the news with immigration and the way that we've been treating people trying to immigrate to America. I'd really love to be able to ask her questions about that and how she feels. I'd also love to kind of get to know my heritage a little bit more. and I'd like to steal some of her recipes. And I'd really just kind of I didn't have a lot of time with her because, like I said, I was 7 when she died, but I don't think that there isn't a day that goes by where I'm not thinking about her, or thinking about her accent, or thinking about her tiny little body, or um, yeah.
Yeah, I think if I was to answer that same question, I would also kind of go along that same vein. I used to, before I would think that I would pick like a celebrity that influences me or something, but honestly, I've always been really intrigued about like my own great grandparents because like I never met them at all. And if I did, I was probably like 2, but like they've been dead for as long as I can remember. And like I know my great grandfather on my dad's side of the family, there was some. I don't believe he was in the mafia strictly, but there was some mafia related things. You know, he was in jail with Al Capone's brother, so there's just some things that I'd want to be. I'd really be curious to know about. And like similar to how you said about your great grandmother, they also immigrated, but they immigrated from. I don't want to get this wrong. I know they're Sicilian, so it was probably Sicily. Um, so yeah, it would be very kind of similar tale. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it's easy for people to pick a celebrity, yes, but I think there's something so fulfilling in getting in touch with like family history, and especially in the wake of like what's going on with immigration. Like I have family members now who are directly related to my great grandmother that are her children that voted for Trump and that are anti-immigration, and it's so crazy because that's what built us. That's what's built America. That's what has made us who we are. And it's so interesting to me. I would love to hear how they feel about that, especially since my Nana is Maltese for great grandma. Nana is so matter of fact. She's always been so matter of fact, and so she would really just kind of lay it out there, much like me.
Yeah,
and I'd really like to hear what she'd say.
yeah, that'd be really nice.
Okay, so similar similar question to you, but kind of different. I want you to give me a person that has influenced the way you live your life and a way that you kind of see the world.
Okay. I think
I
that's it.
Can you do both a celebrity and a not a celebrity?
Oh, you want to do me to do a celebrity and not a celebrity?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do not a celebrity first because I was. I
Better than
think I
not
know my
celebrity?
answer to that one.
Smart man.
Yeah. I think this may surprise some, and it may surprise my co-host. You,
Me.
you. Um,
Why me?
getting into like a little bit of my personal like I don't know if mental health would be the right thing, but kind of the way I looked at the world. Um, I I kind of for a long time I hated everyone, like strongly just despised all the people on the planet. Um, and that is fully based on a lot of internalized self hatred. Um, and oh, someone I'm being am I go away. The cat. There's a cat. Never mind. We don't care about the cat. Yeah, but we're keeping going. We're keeping going. Um, um, I kind of went along with that mindset for so long, and then like when I started to meet you and everything, you very much have the mindset of like treat people well and like people aren't or yeah to treat people well and like that kind of vein, and that's kind of affected my like day-to-day thought process, and I like try to let go of that like hating other people, and I'm still not the best at it. It's a work in progress, but
We
that's
all
fine.
struggle.
Yeah,
We
it's a
all
struggle,
struggle.
but it's fine. Yeah.
Something I've been raised on is to just treat all living things with kindness. Here's the thing. Kyle will tell you I've been through my slew of a lot of pain from people in my life. I've had a lot of very scary, terrible things happen to me in my life, and stuff that I thought that I would never truly recover from. And it is true that to a T, all people suck in a way, which is true. But there is another thing incredibly true, and it's that there is good in everyone. May not be the main part of people. It may be mostly shitty, and
Yeah,
that does happen. But there is good in everyone. And if you want kindness to come to you, you really have to give kindness back. Um, it's also very true. People will tell you this when you go into a customer service job. It's really hard for people to be a dick to you if you're kind to them.
yeah, it is. It is. That's true. As someone who works customer service, it is.
I think if you had a shitty person come up to you and do something shitty to you and you gave them nothing but kindness back, it would sit with them. It would bother them more than you realize, and they would take that into their next encounter.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and so I agree that I grew up also a very angry person. I was raised treating everybody with kindness, but inside I was full of a lot of frustration as to why people didn't want me as a person and why I wasn't good enough for people. And the answer was because I wasn't good enough for myself. And so I started treating everybody with kindness so that nobody would have to feel what I feel on a regular basis. But that was really sweet. Thank you. Who is your celebrity there, Stinky?
My celebrity. So it's kind of tough because I do have a lot of like celebrity influences, and haven't necessarily like changed the way I look at the world per se. Um, but there have been people that have just like greatly influenced my thought process. Um, I have a couple people floating around my head right now, so I'll just go through a couple. Um, I'm a big fan of the Silent Hill games, and the composer of those games, Akira Yamaoka, who I had the intense pleasure of meeting. I had him sign my guitar, and I loved it. One of my favorite. So, yes.
Who is that?
Okay, so it's the game. It's a horror game franchise. He is the composer for that series. He writes all the music, um, and that music has kind of become a part of my existence. For those of you who watch the wrestling content that I have put out, like when I was in EBW, which is a company in New Jersey, I was this like scary, like freaky character, and that was very Silent Hill inspired. The
So
theme.
this is answering more of the question of who inspires you creatively than it does your life.
I'll get into the life part. I'll get into the life part. Don't worry, it's
Okay.
coming. It's coming. I just like to over go into my own explanations because
Okay, but remember we got to keep this to an hour. So maybe we don't go into it too much.
maybe we don't. So essentially, a few of the songs from those various game soundtracks have a lot of lyrics that have like really stuck with me and like how I perceive the world, I guess. So I guess in a way it has influenced how I see the world. Um, there's one song from Silent Hill 3 called Letter from the Lost Days, which is the main character. It's like from the place of a main character, but reading like a letter that a younger version of her would have sent to herself. And it's talking about like happiness and like being put on the earth to feel like joy. And like, yes, not everyone can be happy and everything all the time, but like that is our kind of core human experience, is to feel the joy and like love. And that's what makes the world spin. And like when things go good, if everyone kind of like worked on making sure people feel joy and love to each other, then the world would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I asked you, so it's your turn.
It is my turn. It is my turn. It is my turn. What is the best mental health advice you could give to someone you don't know?
People say this all the time. And as somebody who's dealt with depression, I know that you look at them like you're fucking crazy, but fake it till you make it, bitch. Fake it till you make it. Let me tell you what, my self esteem is based on fake confidence. If you walk out telling people every day that I am that bitch so often, your brain will hear it so often that you will believe it. If you want to achieve something and you don't think that you can do it, fool people into thinking you can do it because it will happen for you. Do not miss things, do not skip things because you don't think you're good enough. Lie to yourself and tell yourself that you're good enough, bitch. Because eventually your brain will start to believe you. I know everybody thinks that that's bullshit, but it's completely and utterly true. I am literally living proof. I get up every day looking like a two fucking faced Mr. Potato Head, fucking sloth, hobbit, nasty ass looking potato. I put on 2 pounds of makeup. I push my titties to my chin. I slap my own ass and say, get out there, bitch, and suck some dick today. And you know what? I do every day.
That's not. Well,
Not
maybe that last part
actually,
isn't true.
not actually sucking dick, but you know what I mean. Like metaphorically sucking the world's dick. Okay?
Yeah.
Go fuck someone's dad. Truly.
Yeah.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Hell yeah.
Have the fake self-confidence and the self-esteem, even if it starts out as a joke, even if you say it sarcastically to yourself. It's even true about kinks. You know, that whole entire TikTok of at first I said to myself, feet as a joke, but now it's not a joke anymore. Do
Yeah.
that, but with your self-esteem, baby. I promise you, sweetie, if you do that, you will manifest good things for yourself and you will start taking care of yourself. And that's the secret to feeling good.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense, especially relating back to that kink thing. And like, yeah, you joke about something and then eventually you're just like, oh, but really? Yeah, so I think that is very solid advice that works. I am not necessarily the best at practicing it. But, like I said, work in progress, everyone's working in progress.
You have your moments.
I have my moments.
You have your
Sometimes I
moments.
think I could punch God square in the face and then take over heaven, but other times, I feel like a wretched worm. It's one day or the other.
There's no in between.
Yeah, it's just like one or the other. It's just like falling in a pit or becoming God.
Truly, just take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think you deserve it, tell yourself you do. Lie to yourself, and take care of yourself. Put you in level of importance first. You're important.
Yeah.
Take care of
Numero uno.
yourself. Even if you're not important, even if you feel like you're just a piece of shit, just floating in the wind. We're all pieces of shit floating in the wind. We're all insignificant. Nothing matters. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. All right. On that note, if you could talk to yourself at age 13, what would you tell yourself?
So I think what I would go back and tell myself is to value friendships a little more and like contact and like kind of keep in contact with certain people, and kind of don't just kind of expect everyone to come to you and talk and start the conversation. Just sometimes reach out to people. um that advice specifically is kind of based on, I had a friend who committed suicide about last year, and I, looking back at that relationship, I do have a lot of regret with not like contacting him more because he was one of my best friends for years, and I do have a lot of regret about not contacting him and not kind of keeping that friendship going. Because sure, he moved farther away, and I couldn't necessarily like go and hang out with him on a day-to-day basis, but like just like reaching out a little more and kind of showing the value of the friendship would have been good.
You never really know what people are going through, and I can promise you, even though it may not feel like you matter to that person, you do, and texting them and I love you or are you okay or I hope you're feeling okay really means more than you realize. And you're not always going to get hit up first. And I think that that's what people realize. People are like, well, they don't hit me up first, so they must not want to talk to me. That's not true.
Mhm.
They're having the same held back reasons as you are. Everybody has some sort of form of social anxiety in their brain where they're insecure about something. Everybody has insecurities. And um, there is never a bad time to reach out and show and spread some love ever. That being said, we are both very big mental health advocates on this podcast. We will be getting more into mental health stuff later in the podcast. Not necessarily this podcast, but later in podcast episodes, whenever those do come out. Um, please reach out to your loved ones. Please give them hugs and kisses. You know, our life, our time on this planet is very short and some shorter than others. You never know what's going to happen to people. Um, you are important. We do love you. If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. Um, your life matters always.
Yeah, for sure. And like if there are people in that don't necessarily respond to that reaching out and caring well, then maybe they're just like not the right people. But I'd like to turn that question around to you.
So I had a really rough go at 13. 13 was my beginning of my mental breakdown in high school. I went from being a straight A student to failing. I was cutting myself. I was starving myself. I had suicidal thoughts. Um, and I was a very sickly kid. And I think if I could tell myself anything, it would be every single fucking person that gets on your nerves by telling you it's gonna get better is telling you the truth. It's crazy when you are so sad and hurting inside to think that your life is ever going to change. It's hard to think in the moment, like, I'm not going to hurt like this forever. I can promise you that even at 18, I still thought that I was going to be dead before college. Um, all of those annoying people saying you'll get over it, it'll be okay. I mean, you never get over it, that's true, but it does turn out okay. Let me tell you this, people, time does things to you. Time really does heal. It really does get better. Granted, I'll be fair. I'll tell you this one. It takes its sweet ass time. It takes its sweet ass time to get better. But if you sit with it and you keep pushing, it will get better. It will. I am not necessarily the healthiest, happiest person on the planet now. I still have my own issues. But I can tell you what, I'm happy I didn't commit suicide the 3 times I tried. So I guess I would say, yeah, no, it really does get better. And all of the shit that you think is important at 13 is not important at 21. Just like what's important at 21 isn't going to be what's important at 40 and so on.
Yeah. Looking at my questions and seeing which would be the most fitting. Well, there's not one that necessarily piggybacks off that. So,
Changing
who?
gears.
Hmm?
Changing gears.
Changing gears. Who and what inspires you as a person in your everyday and creative life? Those can be
Beauty.
separate or.
Beauty. You know, it's really, really insane because everybody has a different concept of beauty. And beauty can also be the same thing that drives pain as well. Um, but since I was a young child, I was obsessed with beauty. I was obsessed with things that may look physically pleasing, may be aesthetically pleasing, but also are soulfully pleasing. And I think that that's something that people don't consider to be beauty either. I definitely do consider soulfully pleasing things to be beautiful. Um, I my whole entire being is based off of beauty. Yes, my physical appearance, obviously, I put a lot of effort into my physical appearance. As you can see, I'm covered in makeup. I'm a photographer. I capture beautiful things on a regular basis. But also, I think that everything is beauty. I think that the world is beauty. I think that the universe is beauty. I think that pain and suffering exists to teach us to learn and to grow and to feel. And that's beautiful. Um, And so I live my life wanting to embody and to be encaptured and enthralled by beauty.
I think beauty is definitely something that, even not necessarily into like the physical appearance aspect, but like just a general worldview, like so many things can be considered beautiful, and that's like something that can be very refreshing mentally. I know I am very much a beauty of the like outdoors. I'm not an outdoorsy person. I hate bugs and shit. Um, Same, yeah. But you know, I love a good just nature view because it is something that's like refreshing. It kind of makes you realize there are things that are more important than the day to day going on, and like there are things that in the world that are more than just like your suburban day to day grind. Like there are things in this world that are extremely impressive that are just there, and it's a big reason why I've always had the drive to explore the world and kind of. I had a big phase where I wanted to be a treasure hunter, but that was because I played a lot of Uncharted. Um, but like I've always wanted that kind of experience where you just see the world and you see all the things the world has to offer.
It's so wonderful to feel both so insignificant but so important at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes, we are all tiny little ants on this planet. We're all tiny little dots, but each and every dot lives its own reality, its own life, its own story, its own experience. And in that, yes, it is important.
Mhm.
Um, yes, your feelings are important. They're insignificant, sure, from, the universe staring up like down at us, but it's important to you and it pushes the world along and it pushes you along. And so it's important. And I think that's beautiful. And I've also been, a lot of my photography is nature. I do take a fuck ton of pictures of flowers. Um, the world is beautiful. And beauty is such a broad term. There's so much that can be argued of whether or not it's beautiful. Um, and that's what I thrive off of.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So more off of art-based things. What um what music do you listen to when feeling self-reflective? When you're thinking about yourself and you're thinking about your feelings, you're thinking about who you are, you're thinking about your life. What are you listening to?
So there are two specific albums that stick out to my brain with that question, and one artist, and I've gotten to the artist a little bit, so I'll do that one last. The two specific albums that really stick out into my head, and one of them is more like concept related than necessarily the songs themselves, but uh, coincidentally, also one of my favorite albums is "Minutes to Midnight" by Linkin Park. Is something that I grew up. It was the Linkin Park album that I listened to the most growing up. Like as much as I go back and like love their first two albums, Hybrid Theory and Meteora, "Minutes to Midnight" was the one I grew up with. And going back recently and going through that entire album and kind of listening to everything again, front to back, and just kind of like with the life experience that I now have compared to when I was like 10, um, there's a lot more that I pick up in the lyrics that I just never did before. And it's one of those albums that's very near and dear to my heart. And I didn't necessarily think of it as that for a long time, but recently I have. Um, it's got a lot of raw emotion that you may not necessarily see on the outside, but it's there, and it's honestly one of my favorite things they've ever put out. Another one that I like, and this is kind of also like my sad time music, is David Bowie's last album, Black Star, because that album is entirely a big concept of just facing death and like the end of existence. Um, and that's like it's a dark album, but in a way, it's almost like kind of freeing because you get the mindset. Because he wrote it while he was undergoing, or not undergoing, but he was going through cancer at the time, and like that's kind of what he gets close. It's very intimately close with death, and it kind of
I'm surprised you didn't pick David Bowie as like a person whose brain you could pick.
well, I
Very
mean,
biased.
I didn't answer that question now, did I? Oh, I answered it for the my
Yeah, you did.
personality.
I asked you um a person who's influenced your life. You didn't say that.
Yeah, that is true. I think he would be a good person to pick, because I'll sidebar into that a little bit. A lot of my like wrestling persona thoughts are David Bowie related because not necessarily like his exact style, but the kind of reinventing yourself constantly, and like he had all these different phases of character and personality, and I always try to like differentiate and be in a different phase. Um,
And we're all in different. I mean, everybody does that. Everybody has a different phase that everybody morphs into a different person every couple of years or every year, and that's just kind of
Yeah, I just like to kind of apply it to artistic as well, because like, I mean, if we want to be technical, it's like me in high school is like my thin white Duke phase, but we're glad that one's over. Uh, um, and then like the final like self-reflective music, um, going back to what I was saying about Akira Yamaoka and the Silent Hill music, a lot of the music that he created that it doesn't necessarily have lyrics. It's all his stuff is primarily instrumental. He didn't write the lyrics for a lot of the songs that have lyrics. That was someone else who I also enjoy. His kind of ambient music and his just like tracks that he would make that don't have lyrics. I don't want to call them instrumentals, but they're because like instrumentals would mean they have lyrics. But like the tracks that he creates just kind of speak to my brain in a way that I just didn't think was fully possible. It kind of like takes me to a different space, like my happy space, while also being kind of like in a very raw emotional space, is those tracks.
And just also to say, I make fun of Kyle for listening to Linkin Park all the time. I think it's something that's easily, we all have our different people that we make fun of for listening. Um, you have to remember that everybody picks something out musically that hits with them. And so this is something that he was raised on, I have plenty of music that I do not tell people I listen to because it's the music that I was raised on and that's close to me. But everybody kind of aligns with different things when it comes to easing their soul musically. Um, but it is fun to tease them.
Yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of their conceptions, not I won't go too long on this because we have to keep going, but a lot of their like conceptions of them as like the angsty angst is like first album and second album. Once you kind of get further in, they start to kind of shift their style, and they're really trendsetters in a way. Like they kind of hopped on the EDM thing, not necessarily EDM, but that electronic style, like way before it got popular, and like it's really impressive to see.
All right, so that's what I asked you. So it's your turn.
It is my
Sorry, we have a lot of questions. We're trying to keep track here, people. We're also trying to keep it to an hour. We're already at 35 minutes. So if we're all over the place, you know.
Yeah, that's okay. Piggybacking off that, what is your ultimate feel-good music genre?
All right, so this is hard. So as I was talking about Bubby growing up in Lincoln Park, I grew up on music theater. Most people go to concerts as kids. Most people, you know, see their favorite musicians in concert. I did that too, but also my family was taking me to musicals on Broadway. My grandma always got us the best seats. And I grew up listening to show tunes. Now, most of you are like, Jesus, God, no, make it stop. And I think that's true to an extent. I totally understand where you're coming from. It is something that um you do have to have a taste for, but I would like to share something with you that most people don't realize. Show tunes and Broadway music does not have one sound. There is a familiar campy vibe that is thrown out through most shows. But if you've paid attention to some of the more recent shows, we have musicals like Rent, which is 80s rock. We have musicals like I'm trying to like come up with specifics. We have Phantom of the Opera, which is opera music. We have Waitress, which is kind of a folksy pop music. There are various genres that appear in music theater. Yes, it is usually cheesy. Yes, it is usually campy. Hamilton, rap. I mean, it's different. It varies. And there is something about you can listen to it on a streaming service and go, this is just the most campiest, cheesiest bullshit I've ever listened to. But I'm telling you, when you're sitting in this velvety seat in a nice outfit, nobody dresses up for theater anymore, but you should. You're surrounded by people. There's a smell of candied nuts in the air. We love a good candied nut. Mwah. And the curtains open, the lights go black, it's silent, and someone pours their soul out in front of you. You're going to cry. You're going to be moved. There's something about seeing it live that most people don't experience, that changes you. And that is what molded me as a kid. For pretty much, and this kind of answers other questions, things that people don't know about me. I grew up musically inclined. For most of my childhood, I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be a Broadway actress. I wanted to be an Ariana Grande, a Hannah Montana. I wanted to do all of it. And I remember sitting on my grandma's lap, watching a show and thinking, this is what I want to do with my life. This is exactly what I want. I want to feel this. I want to do this. I want to be her. This is what I want out of life. And it shaped me into the person I am now. And so now when I feel sad and I feel alone and I need a good cry, I put on She Used to Be Mine from Waitress, and I sit, no makeup on or full makeup on, and sob all of it off, cover myself in snot, and give it a good Kim Kardashian ugly cry. And you know what? If you want to judge me, fine. I just shaved my asshole. You can go ahead and kiss it. Okay? So there you go.
Oh yeah. I've never really been able to go to like a musical theater thing. I've always been kind of interested. It's always been something that's kind of on like not my outskirts, but it's something that I've always wanted to like go see. Um, eventually, it'll be something we do.
It's hard. The seats are pricey. Unless you want to sit in the nosebleeds, you are paying like over 100 to go see them. It is not for the faint of heart. They're hard tickets to get, but I recommend it to absolutely anyone.
Hell yeah.
Just don't go see Cats, because that's
Yeah.
on
Don't do
us.
it. I don't even know.
The music for Cats, great. The actual show, it's a shit show. Don't do it.
Yeah, unless you're a furry and you're into that, then feel free to go ahead. But friends,
But maybe don't, because then it's a cock tease, and you can't take your dick out in a theater like that. It's too pretty.
well, Pee Wee Herman did. He's fine.
We don't talk about that. Anyway, all right, it's my turn.
It is.
It's my turn. All right, let's keep it going artistically. What is your favorite way to express your creative ideas?
So as a film student, it's really easy for me to say film. Specifically, so it's easy to like say that it'd be like making a movie or like a short film or something, but like I also really enjoyed acting a lot as a child. I did one of those things. I don't know if any of you have that weird memory where like you'd be listening to the radio and they're like, we're holding talent auditions and we work for Disney and this shit. And then you get there and then you pass the audition. They're like, $2,000 and we'll figure it out. And you're like, $2,000? Why? I did that. That was fun. But yeah, acting's always been something that I've enjoyed. And I try to I've learned a lot about acting and like expressing character through that. I've always really loved the idea of a voice actor. Voice acting is so much fun because I just love making weird fucking noises. I would love to just sit behind a mic and they're like, okay, say these lines. And I say the lines. And then they're like, okay, you have an action scene. You got to make grunt noises. And I just got to sit behind the mic and go, ooh, ah. Like, that's fun. That's fun for me. And like, I can kind of play with inflection and play with developing a character and play with expressing myself in ways that I wouldn't necessarily do in other mediums. Which is tying into another aspect of like expressing myself creatively. It'd be like through video games. That is something that is a dream, is to work on a video game and kind of put out my creativeness through a video game. But yeah, that's kind of my general. Continuing on the creativity aspects, what aspects of your personality are reflected in your art? You kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but
So, like I did go on that long rant about beauty, but I am a photographer. And I haven't really found my niche of photography yet. This is still kind of a new exploration of creativity. Yes, I do want to make it my career, but I'm still exploring it and I'm still learning. And so I can't really explain to you in what I capture how it fits to me. I can explain to you the beauty aspect and how that relates to me, and that's something that I've been enthralled by since forever, but I can't really explain to you how my actual pictures fit me. I don't think I've found my my style of photography yet. I think I'm all over the board right now. But I can tell you, I think about in the future kind of wanting to do it all. I'm also thinking about going into modeling as well. And I think that all of that kind of gives me at least the power and the ability to kind of hold the control. And I think that that's kind of my main goal, is to be able to control it all and to do it all. But I guess it's kind of, I don't really have a real good answer to that question, I don't think, right now.
Gotcha.
All right, let's get back to some personal stuff here besides art. You talked about a lot of the celebrities that you look up to. Can we talk about a person that you know in real life that you look up to?
So getting past the celebrity aspect is something that I struggled with because I kind of like don't necessarily look at the people around me and think about actively who inspires me. Um, but I do think I have one person that I had recently thought of that kind of inspires the get up, go, and like if you want something, just fucking bust your ass for it. And that is one of my personal friends, Zach. Um, he's on the local Michigan indie circuit as Kyler Coleman, and he has been fucking killing it. Uh, I am so proud of him for just going out there and going to however many shows he needs to go to, busting ass, doing whatever he can. And he's like really making a name for himself in the wrestling scene. And like he's only been doing professional wrestling for a few months, and it's just so impressive to kind of see where he is now.
I actually would agree with that. There is a lot of drive in that tiny little skinny little body.
Yeah, there
And
is.
I've seen it. I've seen it. He is enthralling to watch. I'm not a wrestling person. I'm not. I didn't grow up on it. It wasn't my thing. It's only kind of been something I've been learning about since dating Kyle and watching Zach's matches. It's insane to have somebody like me who's never had any interest of it. He really knows how to capture an audience, and he really, really knows how to make you enthralled with what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that that's incredibly impressive. And obviously, when you're as a wrestler, you have to have a good drive. You just do. This is a career that takes over your life, that takes over your body, that puts a lot on you, and you have to have an insane drive to go and get it. And not only is he going and getting it, but he's absolutely just slaying it.
He's a
So
fucking he's a fucking natural, and like it's amazing. It's amazing.
absolutely go check him out, find him on Instagram, watch his videos that he posts.
On YouTube, look up Kyler Coleman, watch all of his matches, like them, share them, and fucking enjoy them.
Just watch this tiny skinny little man just throw people around like a rag doll, okay? Just enjoy it. Just watch him fly through the air. Like it's fun. Just
Fuck
do
yeah.
it.
Fuck yeah. Okay. So we kind of got into the aspects of personality reflected in art, but what drives you as a photographer?
So I kind of answered this question already, and this kind of goes back into the whole entire beauty thing. But I also think I'm just pushing myself. This is an area that I never really like knew I loved until I started doing it. Um, and I think I've always loved to learn, and I think that this has been the one thing that I've kind of wanted to keep learning and to keep pushing. So I guess I would say my motivation is just to learn and make it my own.
And I think that's great motivation to have creatively. And I think creative wise, the moment you stop learning is the moment you kind of fall apart. Because it's always about learning, and it's always about learning from experiences and other creatives. And it really helps.
So you mentioned looking up to Zach for his drive and for pushing himself and just going to get the stuff that he wants. What is your biggest goal that you have set for yourself?
I think my biggest goal is something that, and this will kind of feed into a question later, I believe. But my biggest goal is to inspire younger generations with my own creative works. Because I think there's a lot to be said in creative works made for a younger audience. Because kids are so much smarter than we let on, like they let on, and the way adults kind of think kids are stupid, kids can pick up on so much. And if there's a piece of media that they can consume that kind of teaches them things that'll inspire them to kind of, whether it be treat people better or like follow their own creative dreams, like I think that's such a I'm trying to think of a good word for this, positive, and such a big thing that can influence and help someone just become who they are. Um, and I think it's very important to kind of realize that those things can help them grow and learn and treat people differently.
Absolutely. I don't know how many people are watching this who have a lot of young kids in their life. Just remember that kids may not be able to communicate to you that they know what's going on, but they know what's going on.
Yeah, they do.
And I think that the biggest mistake you can make as a parent is treating your child like they're dumb. There's been more and more scientific studies shown that children feel more deeply than people realize and that they think more deeply than people realize, um, including small infants. Um, please, please, please take your little people's lives seriously because they are little people. Um, and they feel anger and sadness and grief and loneliness and intense happiness and intense joy just like we do, and passion and all of those other things. Please remember that, and please take good care of your little people because they're going to grow up and they're going to be the people who run this country and are the teachers and the police officers and the firemen and the activists and the mothers and the daughters and the sons and the fathers that drive this world. So please take good care of them. Um, let's keep it personal here. What is the best advice you could give to someone you've never met?
The best advice I think I could possibly give, and it's something that I've kind of has made me rethink the way um, I think about life, is life is a long road, and we are all travelers on that road. Um, and some people you will meet on your travels may be in your life for a short period of time, and some people may be for a long period of time. And the important thing is to support and show love and compassion and camaraderie to those people on that road. Um, and they can carry on the important memories that you make together through their life and pass those feelings and that love, support, compassion, camaraderie to others. And that's kind of how we change the world.
So that was a very, very long and winded way of saying no matter how long people are in your life, treat them well.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna matter in other spaces. Um, that was very, very, very grandpa of you. I just realized I asked you 2 questions in a row, so why don't you hit me up with 2 questions?
Gotcha. Well, coincidentally, I have 2 questions that work alongside each other. Um, if you could describe, you kind of did this a little bit earlier, but if you could describe your photography, how would you describe it?
Everywhere, all over the place. Sometimes I'm taking pictures of people, sometimes I'm taking pictures of flowers, sometimes I'm taking pictures of fences, sometimes I'm taking pictures of drinking fountains, sometimes I'm taking pictures of art, sometimes I'm taking pictures of a candle, sometimes I'm all over the place. I think the best way to describe it is I try to keep it as real as possible. I'm not heavy into editing. I think that if you're not capturing the beauty in your camera, you're not a photographer, you're a graphic artist. Um, there's a fine line between editing to enhance a picture and editing to change a picture. So all of my pictures of people, even on my Instagram, yes, I do put filters, but they are not body altering filters. They do not change the features on my face. They do not change the features on my body. They may bring out colors. They may put a freckle on my face, but they do not change my face. Same with my photography. I am not going to put a flying dragon in the back of my flower picture because I'm taking a picture of the flower. I am not going to take a picture of my model and then make her look like she's 12 when she's actually 21. I'm not going to make her have a Kim Kardashian ass if she doesn't have one. I'm taking the picture of the model because I want her to feel beautiful and look at herself and say, that's what I look like and I love it. I keep a very, very strong line of integrity in my work. I'm not into face editing. I'm not into body editing. I'm not into, um, I'm keeping it, I believe that there's beauty in realism, and that's the type of beauty that I'm trying to capture.
Right, and secondly, if you couldn't do photography, what method would you use to express your creativity?
I talked about music and singing. Um, if it weren't for my mental illness getting in the way around 17, I probably would be going into some sort of music degree. I was professionally trained in singing since I was like 8. I was in choirs, high school choirs, out of school choirs. I was in vocal competitions. I was playing piano and trumpet and French horn, and I was really musically driven. Music is still something I hold very near and dear to my heart. Although I don't really sing for people anymore, I'm very self-conscious about it, but it is something that brings me a lot of joy and makes me feel good. And so I think if I wasn't a photographer, I'd probably be some sort of musical person. Okay. Um, so I've asked a lot of personal questions. I have a couple more personal ones, and I think we're going to keep doing it at 2 at a time just to save time.
Okay.
Because this is probably going to end up being a little bit over an hour, people, maybe an hour and 30. I'm sorry if you like our shorter podcast. We'll try and do a shorter one next time, but this is kind of a lengthy one. What is something that most people don't know about you?
So one aspect that I don't necessarily talk about because it's both because it's near and dear to my heart and because like it's not something a lot of people are fully interested in. Um, I have a huge like love and respect for the Japanese mainly genre of tokusatsu, which is for those Americans who are like, what Japanese thing is he saying? Kind of like Power Rangers, but specifically in Japan, there's a franchise called Kamen Rider. And that's kind of the thing that really inspires me, along with Star Wars, to create content for younger audiences and kind of teach them. Yes,
Calling bullshit.
you're calling bullshit.
I am asking you about something personally that people don't know about you. You just went on several different rants about pop culture influencing you, several different rants about wanting to influence young children in the same way, and you're just giving me the same spiel that you just gave me for several other questions, just on a different obscure topic. I want something personal here, sir. What
Um,
is something personal that people don't know about you, sir?
um, 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 uh, uh,
This is a chance for you to open up, to dig deep outside of pop culture.
oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. Uh, um, oh man, you've crippled me. You've crippled me.
All right, I'll come back to it. You have time.
Okay.
Doesn't mean I'm not going to hit you with another hard one, though. When's the last time you cried?
Like last week.
All right, what on?
I had a little bit of a little panicky, attacky. But it was just something I'm kind of new to, but like not as new as I thought I was. But yeah, they're not my favorite things, but you know,
Panic
it's
attacks, you mean?
hmm?
Panic attacks are
Yeah.
not your favorite thing? Yeah. So let's talk about panic attacks for a little bit. So I've experienced panic attacks my whole entire life. I have a very severe anxiety disorder. I have a very severe depression disorder, and I've experienced panic attacks for years. Most people experience panic attacks and they have no clue. So Bobby has just recently learned about panic attacks and learned that he experiences them. And it's been quite a bonding experience for us to kind of help teach each other how to calm ourselves and to ground ourselves during these panic attacks. So Bubby is just now starting to like learn about his mental health. And we won't get too deep into it, I don't want to out like his personal stuff, but um he is learning a lot about what to do. And he's even had some of his own friends come to him and been like, I'm having panic attacks and they suck. And I have no clue what to do for him. Um, and so he's really learning about like, what are panic attacks? How do you handle them? What is a panic attack? And how do I make these fucking things stop?
Yeah.
You want to put in any insight about panic attacks and what you've learned?
I have really learned, well, breathing is an essential aspect at calming down. Um, that is kind of the one thing that like every time I hear about the panic attacks and like advice from whether it be like a therapist or um, you or just in general is the breathing is key, is paramount, which is still something I'm not necessarily the best at. Um,
What do you do? I mean, anybody can breathe, but can you talk about how you breathe if that's helpful?
so the way I've had it described to me by multiple people is breathing in, I believe it's through your nose. Breathe in slowly through your nose, hold it for about 5 seconds, and then slowly out your mouth, and then keep going and just repeating that.
So to give you a little bit of a therapist-y, mental healthy, scientific-y um, background on that, when you're having a panic attack, it's very, very Carmen. It's very, very common
It's very,
for your heart rate to accelerate and your breathing to accelerate because you're in a panic. And so by breathing slowly in through your nose, out through your mouth, you're grounding yourself and you're telling your heart rate and your body to calm down. And it's also helping pump that blood to your brain. So your brain can kind of say, okay, it's good, you're good, you're good, it's good. So breathing is definitely really important. Anything else that you've found has helped you through panic attacks?
um, now that I'm actually having to talk about it, my brain is going blank.
Okay.
Um,
Some other things that have helped Bubby is there's a couple things that help Bubby in a panic attack situation, but they're also a fine line. Um, Grounding yourself, obviously through breathing. Sitting on the floor is another great way to ground yourself, and it kind of helps have your kind of ground your body and calm your body down. Um, but there's also distraction methods that are very helpful. Now, when I say distract, don't avoid.
mhm.
Don't pretend the problem doesn't exist. But if you distract yourself and do something that you enjoy long enough for your body to calm down, then you can come back to the activity with full logic and a well thought out thought process to help the situation.
Mhm.
And you want to talk about how that's helped you?
Um, I find that like personally getting out of like the space that I'm in, and I don't mean like mentally, but like physically getting out of the space that I'm in, is something very helpful. Going for a drive recently is something that's really been able to like help my brain calm down. Um, because I find like just being out there and just kind of exploring or like getting that change of scenery really helps. Um, you know, Going out and just being in a different area really, really does help. For me at least.
Um, Yeah, for a lot of you at home in coronavirus, you have probably all been in your rooms. in your bedroom, in your living room, in your house, not leaving, staring at the same screen, whether it be watching TV, playing a video game, whatever. Change of scenery does wonders for the brain. And we'll get into more of this in a mental health cast, and we'll circle around back to some of this, but please do keep those thoughts in mind when you are having a panic attack. Don't ever think twice about hitting someone up and having somebody to talk to or vent to. Always reach out if you need the help, and just understand panic attacks are normal.
Mhm.
We get them, they suck, and they do happen, but the more that you practice handling it, the less bad they'll get.
Yeah.
All right, so I've asked you a couple of questions. You want to ask me a couple more? We are going to start to wrap up here in a couple, but maybe ask me a couple more questions.
Gotcha. We talked about choir a little bit. What is your favorite memory or place you went during choir?
So when I was touring, I was like 8 to 12. I was a young kid, traveling across the United States. And I have a lot of fond memories. I would say the bus drives there were my favorite memories. There is something about being 8 without your parents, with a whole bunch of musically inclined kids singing "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey as loud as you can, um, uh, just absolutely screaming it for like 6 hours straight.
That sounds like my nightmare.
On the way to wherever the fuck you were going, we had a fucking ball, okay? Even if it was to the same Hard Rock Cafe for every single trip, we always went to the Hard Rock Cafe. And I can't ask you why. I don't know why. I don't know why the trip planners always plan Hard Rock Cafe. It sucks. The food sucks. It's not that great.
It's because
But,
music.
no, it was shit. But like, it's still a good time. So I would say the bus rides there is where I had the most fun.
I think I have a very similar feeling about like my wrestling experience. Was the car rides to trips is definitely my favorite. Those are very intense bonding experiences, and it's great. What is your what?
One more.
One more question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You got 3 to pick from.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of one if I want to end this on an interesting levity one or. Okay. Who would be your dream person to collaborate with artistically?
That's really hard. There are many women in my brain. I would probably say, do you want a current person or an older person?
Give me one current, one older.
If you were going for an older, more vintagey vibe, it would be Julie Andrews. I've been obsessed with her since I was a young child, ever since Sound of Music and Mary Poppins. I mean, that woman could scream, sing "The Hills Are Alive" with the sound of music into my ears, and I would thank the gods. I love her. Or maybe like an Audrey Hepburn type deal. I would love to do a movie with them. If I was an actress, which I'm not, but I'd love to sing a song with them. Currently, I would love to take pictures of Ariana Grande. Her vibe. Okay, so yes, I'm 15. Okay, fine. Come for me. I'm 15, but she is one of the most talented fucking artists of our generation. Fucking lied. Just tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. She's the Mariah Carey of our generation. And her voice is incredible. Her vibe is immaculate. Everything that she's put out has been so aesthetically pleasing and beautiful, whether it be visually or musically, and I'd love to do literally anything with her. She could spit in my mouth and I'd thank her. So that would be how I would answer that. All right. We're going to circle back to the last question I just asked you before. What's something that most people don't know about you? Give me something deep. And then I'll ask you one more question and we'll be done.
I don't know if I had something in my brain, but I don't think that's something that most people, like my friends, will know that. But I don't know if, well, some of them may have picked up on it, but I don't.
Give it to me.
So I think I very often, and this is part of that, like going back to one of the very earlier questions was I very often had that like hate everybody, don't fucking, I'll kill you, I'll stab you, I'll fight you, um, to people. But and I've had friends point this out, and you've pointed this out. I as much as I want to give off that the anger, I fight you, I am no emotion man. I am a fucking soft boy. Um, I love to see, like, I love to make people happy from a people pleasing aspect because it makes me feel good. My dream is to be that Western gunslinger hero who rides through a town and fixes all their problems and then makes everyone at least start to be able to fix their own stuff and then move on to the next town and keep going and going. Um, because like that's something that I think is very important, and that's something that I think people should always have is, yeah, someone can't come in and solve all your problems, but they can at least kickstart you and give you a
Can I repeat this in English for you?
what?
Can I repeat what you're saying in English?
Yes.
Okay, so that was a very long-winded way of saying Kyle puts out a very, very strong shell of a person outside. He looks like the type of person who will punch you square in the face if you say something mean to him. He looks like the type of person to beat your ass on a regular basis, doesn't give a fuck about you or your problems. He's actually quite the opposite. I can promise you from the past 9 months I've been dating him, he is the sweetest, kindest, most sensitive little squish of a man who really truly believes his only purpose on the universe is to make other people happy. He doesn't spend any of that time worrying about what he needs to do to make himself happy. He's working on it, he's figuring it out. But yes, it's true. Most people have absolutely no clue that Kyle really just wants to be everybody's friend. He really is the kid in preschool who's going to come up to you, share his animal crackers with you, and say that you guys are best friends now. That's purely Kyle's personality. Yes, he is a wrestler. Yes, he does look like he could throw you across the room like a rag doll. Yes, he does put on the I'm the Han Solo of the group. I'm going to fly a ship, kiss your sister, and then
Fuck your grandma.
and fuck your grandma, but that's not his personality.
Yeah.
He is the softest, sweetest, most person you'd ever have the pleasure of meeting. And if you don't like him, you're a fucking idiot. Period.
Hell yeah. Which I will say, a lot of my friends in middle school were like the new kid that nobody knew yet. And I was kind of the first person to kind of branch out. And that is something that I don't think about often, but it is true.
Let me tell you what, meeting Kyle, he's gonna give you the big God complex, I don't give a fuck ideal. But if you spend enough time with him to get to know the sweet, sensitive side of him, you're a special person and you're lucky. Period. Very last question. In 5 years, who do you want to be? What do you want your life to look like?
Well, I think I'd want to just be on my way to, having the career that I aspire to, making.
What's your career?
I've always wanted to step into film production, not just in the aspect of like filming and like directing, but all aspects, the hair and makeup, even like down to the nitty gritty. I've always had a big love for the making the sound effects, the Foley artists, the every aspect of production.
Okay. What do you want
Yeah.
your regular life to be like? Who do you want you to be? What's your personality like at this time?
Well, I just kind of would like to expand on the more positive aspects of my personality, kind of what we just got into. And I just kind of want to continue living life, settle down and have that start, work on my relationships and make them all stronger.
So you want to bring the softy that's inside that most people don't get to see out for everybody to see.
Yeah.
You want to be in production. You want to settle down. What do you mean by settle down?
Well, and put a ring on it, um, I'm not planning on kids in 5 years, but like, just getting ready to just have a life of that I can be proud of.
All right. Everybody write that down. 5 years, I'm getting a ring. Everybody keep track. Everybody write that down.
Everybody write that down.
Remind him. 5 years.
You don't need to.
Shoot him a text. Shoot
You
him
do
a
not
text.
need to remind.
5 years. Where's my ring? All right, guys. On the note, this has been the Get to Know Me cast. I hope you guys learned some stuff about us. I'm really, really shocked and proud at how much Kyle opened up this podcast. It was incredible to watch. If anything, guys, if you're gonna watch anything, yeah, WrestleCast is great, but this is where it's at, sweetie. We got into a lot of great mental health stuff. More of this to come, hopefully. Thank you so much.
Hell yeah.
See you next time.
See ya.